Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch Roast Podcast, episode number 149. I am Brendan. UFC 276, Adesanya versus Cannonier. We are going over the prelims in this video. If you're looking for the main card, including the main event, that is in the last video. This is the prelims. It's your only warning. We're going to go over Brad Riddell, Jalen Turner, Donald Cerrone, Jim Miller, Gabe Green, Ian Garry, Dricus du Plessis versus Brad Tavares, as well as the early prelims. We're going to cover all that stuff here. So before we get started, please subscribe to the channel, because if you like MMA, if you like UFC, if you like podcasts about any of those things, or people talking about that stuff, going over stats, this is the channel for you. Subscribe so you know when the next video is coming out. And if you do like this one, click the like button. So I'd really appreciate it. Cool, let's go. All right. The main fight on the prelims, Jalen Turner defeating Brad Riddell versus guillotine under a minute. What was it, 45 seconds? Holy crap. That was fast. Jalen Turner is very good. You want to look at his UFC career. You know, he traded wins and losses to start out his career. Still had, he was... losing to Vicente Luque, it's not that big of a deal because he's very good. Matt Frivola is probably not the best loss, but then since then, holy moly. Josh Kulabau, whatever. Brock Weaver, kicking him out of the UFC. That's not that great of a win. Uros Medic, that's a good win. Jamie Malarkey, knocking him out, that's a good win. And Brad Riddell, by far, is the biggest test of his career, and he passed with flying colors. Brad Riddell, before this, I don't know, was he undefeated? He was not. Oh, no, he lost to Fiziev. Yeah. He had that close fight against Drew Dober, and then the loss to Fiziev, and then now to Jalen Turner. So Riddell's got to go back to the drawing board here. This one, I guess, could have happened to anybody. It was pretty quick how it happened, and he got caught in an exchange early on. I don't know if he had his wits about him when he went to defend the guillotine, but Turner sunk the guillotine in real quick, and it was a very tight squeeze, so Riddell had to tap. Speaking of guillotine wins, Jim Miller becoming the winningest UFC fighter in UFC history. The most wins in UFC history. Out here, you want to see something? There's going to be a lot of green. A lot of white losses here, lots of green. Been fighting in the UFC since 2008, UFC 89. He's the only fighter... Man, he fought at UFC 100, UFC 200, and he said he wants to fight at UFC 300. So he could make it. He's going to have some really good matchups, but he's on a 3-fight win streak right now. And, oh boy. I mean, I hope he can make it because it's a fun story. More than that, the first round here, let's see. In the stand-up, Donald was landing some stabbing kicks to the body, doing decent kicks and a few punches upstairs, and landing some good stuff, and of course the knee up the middle. The ground was a wash for me, and the stand-up went to Donald Cerrone, in my opinion. I guess I'm crazy. I thought Cerrone landed more. Maybe I thought he landed more real significant strikes than total strikes, and some of those strikes, I said that too many times now, but total strikes may have counted in favor of Jim Miller here, 35-24 in favor of Miller. And maybe the judges saw some of those, or the scorekeeper here saw some of those as significant that I didn't think they were. I gave the first round to Cerrone, but if you gave it to Miller, that's fine. It doesn't matter. In the second round, Cerrone goes for a head kick as Miller's going for a kick at the same time. Cerrone falls down, he slips, and then Miller jumps on a guillotine, and then Cerrone's arm is trapped inside there. It was just, and Cerrone had to tap. He just did. It sucked, but he did. And then because of that, we have Miller becoming the winningest fighter in UFC history. Cerrone calling it quits. It kind of sucks, especially the way his career has ended here. Watching Cerrone was one of the reasons I got back into MMA. It was one of the reasons I started watching the UFC again. And seeing him, what was it, that win against, who did he fight? Edson Barbosa. This fight, back in 2014. Seeing that fight where he got rocked and then he ends up rocking Barboza back, and then the next, a couple weeks later, like not even like 2 months later, 3 months later, fighting Jim Miller and getting the knockout in the second round. Second round via the body kick. I remember that fight really well. But this is when he went on that tear, right? 7 wins? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins in a row. And then finally getting the title shot and getting KO'd to the body, which sucked. And then getting 4 wins in a row, losing to Masvidal. That's when he was bouncing back and forth between 70 and 55. And then since then, it's just been, he did have that last run here in 2018-19 against Perry, Hernandez, and Iaquinta. And then he just never could hold the belt. Never became the champ. It's probably one of the best fighters ever to not be champion. I mean, look at this one. This is back in WEC, but it includes Varner, Horodecki, Paul Kelly, Wagner Roca, Charles Oliveira, knocked him out. Dennis Seaver submitted him. Lost to Nate Diaz and then beat Jeremy Stevens, Melvin Gillard. That fight was crazy when he knocked out Melvin Gillard. The loss to Anthony Pettis. That's unfortunate. And he beat KJ Nunes and then RDA. Like, dude, his career is unbelievable. It just is. 36-17, 0-2. But then ending on the way he did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 losses and a no contest is how he finished his career. That sucks. That really sucks. Really could have been 7 losses in a row. He hasn't had a win since 2019. Oh, man. That sucks. And for those of you guys who didn't see Donald Cerrone's career back in, I would say, one of his heydays. So either, the 2010 to 2012 Cerrone or the 2013 to 2015 Cerrone. If you didn't see him then, go back if you have Fight Pass and go watch some of those fights because he's unbelievable. Or, go on YouTube and look up a Donald Cerrone highlight video. He's incredible, man. He's always had, mental issues as far as starting to fight slow. He's had a weak body always, being able to be finished to the body all the time. And despite those two things, he's one of the winningest people in UFC history, If he won this fight, him and Miller were tied, along with Andrei Arlovski for most wins in UFC history. And Arlovski's still fighting too, so he can still take that back. It's just Cerrone is something else, man. Also, here, real quick, I didn't even acknowledge this. During this run here, let's see, I think it was 2014 or was it 2015 that he did it? January, April, July, September. All in 1 year. This was the crazy one right here in 2015. January 3rd, January 18th, and May 23rd. Fought twice in less than 3 weeks against Miles Jury, then Benson Henderson, getting 2 wins. And then beating the crap out of Mac Desi to finally get his title shot. Dude, and then June and August, and then December, he fought so much. So many times. He was always there, always the guy who said, yeah, I'll step in, I'll fight anybody around my weight class, I'll fight him anytime, and he meant it, and he did it. And he said it when he retired. He's like, he just doesn't like this anymore. It's just not fun for him anymore. Doesn't like doing it. It's unfortunate to see him go, but everybody needs to end their career at some point. And it was fun watching him fight. It was fun being a Cerrone fan. Always being excited seeing Cerrone's name on the bill. And, I'm going to miss watching him fight, but I'm also glad that he's retiring because he just doesn't have it anymore. He hasn't had it, in my opinion, in 4 or 5 years. So, that last run that he had when he got the title shot And then a little bit after that, after he became a dad, there was a little bit of a change in him. It's just the division caught up to him, and his body gave out, and he had to take on some tough challengers and guys like Justin Gaethje, somebody who's just another level above him as far as toughness goes, hits hard, and it's unfortunate to see his career end the way it did with all the losses. But when you're a guy like Cerrone, that's kind of how this is gonna go. Not a lot of decisions. He just always puts himself out there. Either gets finished or if he finishes people. Yeah, he had some decision wins, but all action all the time. Fun guy to watch, and one of the best to ever do it to not hold the belt. That's for damn sure. All right, on that sour note, instead of the past, let's talk about the future here. See what I did there? That's his nickname. Get it? Because Ian Garry in the future. I hate myself. Anyway, Ian Garry changing his name to Ian Machado Garry for this fight because that was his wife's maiden name, and that's she had a child before whose name is Machado, and now they have a child together, and he wanted them all to feel like the same family, so he changed his last name to include both the names. So they're all a part of the same thing. I thought that was really freaking cool when I heard that. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. I love that. It's a really cool story. Anyway, in this fight, Gabe Green's tough as shit. Green had a lot of pressure, and Garry was picking his shots, landing big up top. That kid looks great, man. He looks really good. He didn't hold his head high and in the line of fire for too much in that first round, and he just stomped Green as Green kept moving forward. He just kept tagging him and landing big, 41 to 26 in favor of Garry there. Second round was a lot closer, 36 to 38 in favor of Green. Garry had some really smooth shots, and he was landing, but Green kept pressing through him nonstop and trying to walk him down. And then at one point, Gary's nose started to bleed as usual. I think his nose he gets a bloody nose. He's probably like Frankie Edgar. If you look at him the wrong way, he gets a bloody nose. So, I don't know. I don't think that Green did more damage. These striking numbers, I guess, they seem weird based off what I saw. 38 to 36 in favor of Green. Maybe they're accurate, but I think Garry, even though the numbers were very close, right? Obviously, there's only 2 strikes separating them, but Garry landed the bigger shots in this round and more of them. So I gave him that second round as well. And then in the third round, Green is tough as hell and just keeps moving forward. That's what I wrote down. This Gabe Green is tough as shit, but not quitting is not enough to win a fight. And 39 to 26 in the favor of Garry in this last round. That kid is the real deal. He is, man. He's very good. And at welterweight, some more new talent in this division, man. More new talent. Michel Pereira. Oh, Shavkat moved up to 10. Ooh. Man, there is so much talent in this division coming up. Young talent, new talent. Chimaev, Rachmanov. Now, like, Garry. Who else is young here? Sean Brady's young in the division. You still have your staples. You still have your staples in here. Your Thompsons, your Magnies, Covington, obviously the champion, and Usman. But lots of fresh matchups coming up. Lots of fresh matchups. Very exciting. Good stuff. I love seeing that. I just hope they don't cannibalize each other as they go towards the title. And Garry looks good. I think he's years, or at least another year away from a title shot, maybe more depending on how his career goes. He's still undefeated, so that undefeated status does give you some added weight to your negotiating, right? And it looks good on a bill, right? When they say like 11-0, 12-0 versus this guy, so you can sell that. It does count for something. So you can sell that really well, even if you're not necessarily the most deserving of a title shot. It adds to the potential of you getting one. So maybe Garry needs like 2 or 3 wins to get a title shot. Maybe he just needs one really good one against a ranked opponent. Maybe he just needs one good win. Now, that's a stretch. I think he needs at least 2 good wins. The second one being very impressive against someone in the top 10. And if he can smoke them instead of getting these decision wins, maybe he gets a title shot after that because, fresh talent and all that stuff. And Chimaev and Rachmanov and those guys have been doing the damn thing. So it's hard to argue with them. Okay. Brad Tavares versus Dricus du Plessis, the true African fighter here. I know he's white, but he's from South Africa, trains in South Africa. A lot of these African fighters might be born in Africa or be of African descent, but they are not actively training in Africa, right? You have the champion in Israel Adesanya in this division training in New Zealand. And then you have Francis Ngannou, who trains in the U.S., who originally started training in France and then came to the U.S. Who else? And Usman. Usman's lived in the U.S. for a very long time. He went to college here. He was a wrestler here. He's basically American as far as I'm concerned. Yes, he might have emigrated over here, and I'm not taking away anybody's African heritage or anybody's heritage wherever they're from, but there's a different thing, right? They made a big deal out of it when Cain Velasquez became the first Mexican heavyweight combat sports champion. But he's only Mexican because, he's has Mexican heritage. Didn't train in Mexico, didn't even know Spanish like that. Whereas Brandon Moreno trains in Mexico, barely knows English. I mean, that's not a thing. You don't have to not know English to make you of true descent or whatever. He's from Mexico, trains in Mexico, and that's a big deal, right? He was the first real Mexican champion, and from Mexico, training in Mexico, that kind of thing. It's very cool. Whereas, Dricus du Plessis is from South Africa, trains in South Africa, and yes, he's white, there's a whole history of those things, but he's African. As far as he's concerned, as far as historically, he's African. It is what it is. Born in Africa, trained in Africa, that kind of thing. So all of that stuff, he compared himself to Israel Adesanya because Adesanya fought Tavares in his third fight in the UFC, and he's a striker. Blah, blah, blah. He's not that good, but he hits hard. Du Plessis hits really hard. Also, Brad Tavares became a second all-time in middleweight octagon time, which is pretty weird. I guess he's just been fighting. He has a lot of decisions, and he's fought a shitload in the UFC, man. Yeah, he's been fighting for a long time. He coming off of 2 wins coming into this fight. So I don't think if he doesn't want to quit, he's probably not going to get cut because of this. I mean, I think he's the one who kicked Shoeface out of the UFC. He's the one who beat Carlos Jr. and Omari Akhmedov. I think both those guys left because they lost to Tavares. So this fight, the first round, du Plessis overextended himself and got caught with a knee, he got caught, but then dove down for a takedown and ends up on his butt and on his back, and Tavares controlled him for a lot of that first round. See here, 2 minutes of top control time, which is a pretty big deal. Even though du Plessis landed some decent damage, I think I think it went to Brad Tavares, even though he, you could probably give this to du Plessis. You can give that first round to du Plessis, but I didn't. I gave it to Tavares. And then the second round on the feet, Dricus broke Brad's nose, it looked like, and opened up a cut right on the bridge of his nose, and then, Brad's nose got bad. It looked flat. Not as bad as Mike Perry's nose being crooked like that, but it was bad. It got crushed in over and over. 39-33 in favor of du Plessis as far as significant strikes go. He landed some big ones, too, and Brad just did not go away. Brad's a durable guy, and he takes a lot of damage. And then this third round, I wrote down Brad's nose is trashed. What a bloody fight this became. He was bleeding so much. Brad Tavares started the fight with bleached blonde hair, and then it ended with red hair, similar to the Mark Hunt fight when he fought Antonio Silva. And I was like, what a bloody fight. Dricus won this last round, too, 60-39. Duplessis landed so many big shots, and Tavares just refused to go away. Duplessis, I can't tell yet because Tavares is very good, and Tavares is durable. Tavares is a tricky fighter. You know, he's got wins against good fighters, and he hasn't fallen off. In fact, he stayed very competitive. And yeah, he's got losses to Adesanya and Shabazian. But in 21, you know, he had 2 wins against Carlos Jr., who was very good. Omari Akhmedov was not terrible, but he got a win versus him. And then, you know, losing to Duplessis. Duplessis is also, like, this is, you know, he's 3-0 in the UFC now. It's hard to tell because his second one is against Trevin Giles. It's hard to tell where he's gonna settle as far as his ceiling goes, because he has a very awkward striking style, and I don't think that it's gonna translate to long-term success in the UFC unless he makes some really big changes. You know, he's running in when he's throwing his combos. He's doing that thing where he's overextending. He's not that good on the ground where, you know, he doesn't care if he gets taken down, so that's why he's overextending. He's pretty exposed. I mean, his chin seems fine. He got hit pretty hard by Tavares, not like life-changing shots, but he got hit pretty hard and didn't seem to be affected. His cardio, you know, he was breathing real hard the whole time, but he kept throwing. So I think there's clearly a path to victory against Duplessis. There's ways to beat him, and I think that's going to get exposed as he moves up the rankings here because he's 3-0 now. You know, he's making a stink, talking about Adesanya, talking about how good he is, and this kind of stuff. So he's going to start going into deep water here, and I don't think that he has what it takes to take it to the next level based off what I've seen. But if he can tighten up some stuff and pick his shots a little bit better and use his skill set of you know, this hard striking that he does and shore up his takedown defense, which is a lot of things to work on, then maybe. But I think he gets smoked by pretty much anybody in the top 15 right now. Maybe not anybody. And there's probably a couple wins. He might be able to beat somebody in the top 15, but I think most of those people beat him. Moving on, Andre Muniz versus Uriah Hall. This fight was kind of boring. Muniz got the back in each one of the rounds. You look at the control time here, 10 minutes, and he was just searching for submissions. He wasn't laying down a lot of damage or anything. I easily had him winning every single round. I gave it 30-27 in favor of Muniz. Uriah Hall looked extremely tired. I don't know if he was sick or something was wrong, but he didn't look the same. His takedown defense was okay, but really it was his fighting off his back. And he had decent ground defense, but it wasn't enough to. You can't win with defense. That's not how shit works. So, defense is his own reward, and I don't know. Uriah Hall is. Sometimes he's a world beater, sometimes he's not. He's talked about it before with his mental coach and stuff like that. It's just not. He's just not. Not my thing. All right. Jessica I taking on Macy Barber. Macy Barber getting the decision win here. Adelaide Bird is out of her mind a little bit. I didn't have it 30-27, and neither did the two other judges. Oh, Saul D'Amato. Saul D'Amato and Adelaide Bird. Let's see here. Where are we? We gonna go up her. Yeah. So... yeah, it's that second round, right? That's the round that I gave to her, I think. Yeah, okay, so in the first round here, lots of clinch battling and Barber landing elbows doing damage. Easily Barber's round in the first round here. Macy was doing damage on the feet for a little bit in the second round, but then I got a takedown and sat on top. And I don't know if she did a ton of damage, but I definitely think... she did enough in that second round to throw it into her favor. So 5-7 as far as strikes go. So she was on the losing end as far as significant strikes, but her total strikes were higher in that round, and she did have a lot of control time. So cumulative damage was probably about the same. and, total damage done, and then obviously with a ton of control. So that's not bad. I'm not mad at Adelaide Bird giving, that second round to Macy Barber, but I didn't, and neither did the other two judges. So not great. Then Adelaide Bird making a kind of a silly mistake there. Third round here, it was all Barber. Barber just doing a lot more damage on the feet. And, she's still a raw fighter. She is. Ai's okay. Ai's a decent fighter. Obviously, she had her moments in the UFC, but the division has clearly moved past her, similar to, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I retired, and rightfully so. I think this is her time. A lot of these older guard fighters, the divisions have kind of moved past them, especially in the female divisions, just because of how fast those weight classes are advancing. You get one fighter who's heavily skilled in one area, they can jump past everybody if they learn some basics, because a lot of the fighters who are successful in female MMA are just gritty, grindy type fighters, and they can't hang when it comes to other stuff. Like if you're just an amazing wrestler and Tatiana Suarez, God, I miss her. She needs to come back. I wonder if her injury has just been that bad where she's like, her neck is just trashed. Good win for Macy Barber though. And then to open up the freaking card, open up the fight card, we got a broken arm / it's in the thumbnail. Maybe it was a dislocated elbow, but Jessica Rose Clark was doing some decent work on the feet. Rocked Julia a little bit, Stoilarenko there, and she looked good, like she was handling her own, but then Stoilarenko got a takedown, moved into an arm bar, and fucking cranked on it and broke her arm or dislocated her elbow. It was really bad. That is Stoilarenko's first win in the UFC, which is great for her. Her losses are to Letson, Kunitskaya, Avila, Alexis Davis. And then Rose Clark, she's I'm not going to say anything. She's decent. She has good striking. Her overall game is kind of crappy, but overall, the prelims weren't bad. I think the two fighters retiring were kind of the highlight of the prelims there. And then obviously Jalen Turner getting the finish on Riddell, putting himself and then Garry keeping his status as undefeated and like the next big thing. So that's good too. Lots of stuff to take away from. Lots of good stuff. If you didn't watch the prelims and all you did was watch the main card, do yourself a favor. Go watch the Plessis fight. Go watch the Garry fight. Cerrone versus Miller is worth a watch. It's not a lot. And Turner. Yeah, watch the prelims. You don't necessarily need to watch the early prelims, but if you missed them, go watch the prelims. They're pretty good. It's worth a watch. Historically, both for older fighters and for up and comers. It's actually this tale of the tape here. Pretty much 3 new guys and the old guard. Pretty cool. All right. If you made it through this video, love y'all. I really do. It means a lot to me. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel because then you'll know when the next video is coming out. I talk about the UFC, PFL, Bellator, all that good stuff. If you're looking for the main card and you skipped over the intro and you made it all the way here, the main card is in the last video. I go over all those fights there, and I appreciate it. If you're just spending time because you just want to watch the prelims and you don't want to watch the other ones, awesome. Click the like button for me. I'd appreciate it. But if you did that, weird flex, but okay. And I hope everybody has an amazing week. I hope you guys have a great 4th of July. I hope all that stuff. I love y'all. It means a lot to me. And, yeah, man, enjoy everything. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy your family. Love y'all.